Hello. Yeah. So, hi everyone. So, I am Harisam Sharma. For those guys who don't know me, I am a comparative programmer. I've been into comparative programming for more than 3 years now. Okay. I am also a master on Codeforces and a 6-star coder on CodeChef. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And this session today is going to be, just a casual session, and we'll mostly be answering some questions that you guys have. There are also a few things that I've been instructed to talk about, but I think that if we just keep this session as a question and answer session, then hopefully I believe that all of these things will be covered by the questions that you guys are asking. So that is why I think that it would be better if we start with the Q&A, and if some things are not covered in the Q&A, then we can talk about them as well. Okay. Also, I run a YouTube channel as well, wherein I post educational content quite regularly. It's by my name only, Harisam Sharma. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out as well. So with that, I think we can begin this session. So if you guys have any problems, any questions related to comparative programming, data structures, algorithms, maybe on-campus placements, off-campus placements, things like that, or the online assessments of companies, something related to that, anything, then fire away, and I'll be answering any questions that you guys might have.
So, hi Harisam, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Harshit.
Yeah, so I have a question regarding the OS, right? I
Okay.
just read a very interesting post on LinkedIn about how Codeforces is becoming irrelevant for CPE for
Mm-hmm.
OS, right? So I wanted to know your views. Actually, what was mentioned that because people tend to usually solve A, B's and C's in CF contest, right? And those
Mm-hmm.
are mostly maths, greedy, or constructive algorithms
Mm-hmm.
oriented problems.
Mm-hmm.
And OAs are a mix of concepts like DP involving graphs,
Mm-hmm.
trees.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your view on that? Is Codeforces really irrelevant for OAs, or how do you view that?
Okay, so like first of all, I mean, I have never heard this statement in my life that Codeforces is irrelevant for online assessments, and mostly because you are right that most of the people solve the first two problems, problems A and B. But the fact still remains that most of the problems that you are seeing in these online assessments, they are in fact copied problems from Codeforces itself, with the languages changed a little bit. And the problem here is that the problem here is in the fact that the people are solving the first two problems, and the problems which are asked in the online assessments are generally the fourth or sometimes even the fifth problems in companies like Google or Coordination or maybe Uber. Okay. So here's the thing. Of course, the first two problems of any Codeforces round will never be asked in a company test, because companies generally ask medium to intermediate level problems and sometimes even harder problems. And you will find those problems only and only in the third to fifth problem of any Codeforces Div 2 round. That is problems from C to E. Okay. And they definitely involve all of these concepts that you talked about, be it greedy, be it DP, be it binary search on answer and things like that. So I think that Codeforces is actually becoming more and more relevant as far as the online assessments are concerned. I mean, I gave around 30 to 40 online assessments last year for my on-campus placements. Like I used to give around 2 to 3 tests daily. It kind of became a habit for us back then. So I can confirm that around 30% of the times, the hardest problem of any online assessment would have been some problem which was just simply copied from Codeforces, and they had just simply changed the story or the inputs and things like that, and the entire problem, the rest of the problem was just copied from Codeforces completely. Okay. So according to me, I mean, I'm not biased towards comparative programming, this is just an honest opinion, that Codeforces is actually becoming more and more relevant, because companies, they simply tend to just copy problems from Codeforces, and they tend to change the language and give it. But the thing is that the problems that you should practice should be the fourth and the fifth problem. I mean, if you want to completely solve the online assessments, I think everyone will agree that the last problem or the hardest problem of any online assessment matches the level of Codeforces, at least Codeforces B. Okay. D of a div 2 round. Okay, so I think yeah, that's going to be my answer to this question. That Codeforces actually is becoming more and more relevant since companies generally just copy problems from Codeforces, and this is something that I have personally noticed in my on-campus placements experience. And it's not just about the online assessments. I was literally asked code problems from Codeforces in my interviews as well, and that too interviews of companies like Graviton also. So yeah, I can definitely say that doing Codeforces is not a waste of time for you, even if you are just targeting software roles. Okay.
Sure, sure. Just wanted to know your view, right? Because you have all attempted so many OAs and this. Thank you for the answer.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, so the next question is by Muhammad Afnan. So, how to tackle online assessments, MCQ questions asked in those assessments? So, in my experience, the MCQ questions are generally divided into a few categories. So, one of them may be mental ability problems or aptitude problems. So, I think those problems generally involve some tricks that you can easily learn. So, there is this website called indiabix.com, wherein you can find all the topics wherein you can find problems related to all the topics which are asked in mental ability or logical reasoning. I'll just write it in the chat box. It's called indiabix.com. So you can just go there and you can find practice problems related to each and every concept of mental ability or logical reasoning or aptitude. So there is that. You can solve any MCQ problem related to any mental ability topic, let's say time and work or directions or blood relations, anything related to that. So you can find problems on this website and you can practice from here. Okay. And the second thing is that the problems may be sometimes related to mathematics. A lot of times the problems are just JE level mathematics. Sometimes they ask trigonometry related problems and stuff like that. So I don't think there is any alternate to that. You should be familiar with basic identities and stuff like that, and you should be good to go. And lastly, these MCQ problems are sometimes also related to CS fundamental topics. Okay. So they can sometimes be operating systems or computer networks, or sometimes even database management systems, DBMS. So I think for operating systems, there is a very good playlist by Love Babbar, which I also watched during my placements. So it is not something that will teach you deeply about operating systems. It's not something that will teach you about the inner workings and how things are happening, but it will definitely give you a higher level view of how things work. And it is mostly enough to answer questions like what is a deadlock, and things like explain to me what happens when you enter google.com, things like that. Okay. So if you want a high level overview of something which will help you answer these MCQs, then for operating systems you can go for that Love Babbar playlist. And for computer networks, I watched a 3 to 4 hour long video. I forgot about whom it was, but yeah, there are tons of resources available for computer networks as well. So you can just learn about all those 7 network layers, and most of the problems are related to those network layers only. So that will help you a lot. Also, there is Gate Smashers. So you can just go to Gate Smashers if you want an in-depth learning of anything related to computer science fundamentals. So there is that. And I think, yeah, these are the only things which are asked in MCQ problems. And MCQs are generally not the differentiating factor as well, because in my experience, the online assessments are divided like there is a point system, right? For the DSA problems, there is, let's say, 15 points for solving each problem, and then there are just 5 to 7 MCQs having 1 point each. So their weightage is definitely much less. So I don't think you should stress a lot about these MCQ problems. But yeah, you should at least go through the resources that I just mentioned. That will definitely help you. Okay. Cool. So now let's go to the next out. So what is the revision schedule for DSA? I generally forget previous topics. I am in third semester, completed Love Babbar DSA course. So I think that if you have to revise DSA, I think that in the first place, the way you have studied DSA is not optimal, according to me. Okay. So basically, what should happen is that you should just practice a lot of problems. And in those problems, you should encounter a variety of data structures. And in the process of solving all those problems, it should somehow just become fixed in your memory that you should not be you should not be having to revise DSA. Okay, so you should not like it should never happen that you have to revise what is a priority queue or what is a multiset and what are the operations that they provide. Okay, so the optimal strategy for you would be to like stop revising what is a priority queue and just start solving a lot of problems, and coincidentally encounter a problem which involves a priority queue, maybe multiple problems, and then you will like it will just completely be set up in your brain that okay, this is a priority queue and these are the operations that it provides. So yeah, you don't really have to revise anything as far as DSA is concerned. All you need to do is to solve problems. Okay, just keep solving a lot of problems and then you will never have to revise anything. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
हेलो हेलो
Yeah, hi.
मेरा डाउट ये था कि मतलब मैं अभी
Mm-hmm.
जस्ट सीपी में स्टार्ट ही कर रहा हूँ कुछ दिनों पहले
अच्छा.
से
Mm-hmm.
सीएफ में अकाउंट बनाया
Mm-hmm.
तो मैं रेगुलर होने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ
Mm-hmm.
एंड लाइक अभी मेरे को बहुत मतलब 800 के लेवल से स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ मैं
अच्छा.
तो और मतलब मेरे को बहुत टाइम लगता है एक्चुअली
Mm-hmm.
मैं मैं मतलब मोस्ट ऑप्टिमाइज सोल्यूशन तक तो पहुंच नहीं पाता लेकिन फिर भी एक
Mm-hmm.
अपना एल्गोरिदम निकालता हूँ
Mm-hmm.
लेकिन मतलब टाइम लगता है और मतलब मैं कितना टारगेट करूँ कि जिससे एटलीस्ट स्पेशलिस्ट जल्दी से जल्दी बन पाऊँ इवन इन 1 मंथ
Okay,
हाउ
so
मच
like
शुड आई
in competitive programming, setting targets of achieving certain milestones is something that never works. Okay, personally, it never worked for me. Like तुम्हें like ऐसे practice नहीं करनी चाहिए कि मैं ऐसे practice करूंगा कि मैं 1 महीने में specialist बन जाऊं. That should not, I mean, that should be your goal, but you should not practice like that. Okay, your goal should be to reach specialist as fast as possible, but it should never be कि like मैं 1 महीने में specialist बन जाऊं, because first of all, things in competitive programming can be very unpredictable. Okay, so there might be some contest, ऐसा कोई contest आ जाए जिसमें कोई काफ़ी टेढ़ा मेढ़ा प्रॉब्लम पूछ ले, तो हो सकता है कि तुमसे लाइक बी ही ना हो या फिर ए में तुम्हें आधा घंटा लग जाए. ऐसा काफ़ी बार हो जाता है. एंड ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि बाकी लोग उसको काफ़ी जल्दी कर लें, बट लक की बातों की कोई ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट आ जाए जो तुमने प्रैक्टिस ना कर रखा हो या फिर पहली बार तुम देख रहे हो. तो लाइक you can't really set targets as far as competitive programming is concerned. At least targets like I will reach this milestone in this particular time, that most of the time doesn't work. Okay, and जहाँ तक उसकी बात है कि like it takes a lot of time for you to think about the solutions, then that is absolutely normal. Like that happens with everybody. Okay, so maybe the people who have a lot of mathematics experience beforehand, maybe they can solve the problems of lower difficulty very very fast. So like I've seen a lot of people who just went straight to specialist, but these are people who have a lot of background in mathematics. Okay, these are people who like already have a lot of their logical skills developed. So like they have creative thinking skills which are much better than an average person, and that is why they are able to reach some milestones very very quickly. Okay, so it takes a lot of time. It happens with everybody. It happens with me. It happened with me, और like मेरे काफ़ी दोस्त हैं, सबके साथ ऐसा ही होता है कि स्टार्टिंग में सबको टाइम लगता है. इट्स नॉट दैट यू स्टार्ट कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग एंड you realize that okay, 800 is the easiest difficulty, so ideally I should just read an 800 problem and solve it. That doesn't happen. It takes a few days for you to get comfortable with 800 level problems, and slowly gradually you can increase your level, and definitely like problems solve होने लगेंगे थोड़े टाइम के बाद, और जल्दी जल्दी भी होने लगेंगे. It's just that you should not give up. Okay.
एंड मतलब आप ये ऑनलाइन ये लैडर सब प्रिफर करते हो क्या
यार मैंने कभी यूज़ नहीं किया. लाइक या A2OJ हो गया या C2 लैडर्स हो गया, मैंने कभी यूज़ नहीं किया पर्सनली. बट लाइक इट्स द सेम थिंग. तुम कोड फोर्सेस प्रॉब्लम सेट से प्रैक्टिस करो या फिर तुम लैडर्स से प्रैक्टिस करो, बात मेरे हिसाब से एक ही है. आई जनरली प्रेफर कि मैं रेटिंग टैग लगा के प्रैक्टिस करूँ, बिकॉज जो A2OJ होता है वो शायद diff2A diff2B इस टाइप से सॉर्ट करता है. उससे बेटर मेरे को लगता है कि मैं रेटिंग वाइज सॉर्ट कर लूँ. एंड व्हाट वुड बी बेटर देन सॉल्विंग द लेटेस्ट कॉन्टेस्ट प्रॉब्लम्स, राइट? सो जो भी लेटेस्ट कॉन्टेस्ट प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उनका तुम 800 900 1000 इस लेवल के सॉर्ट करके जो भी लेटेस्ट प्रॉब्लम्स आए वो सॉल्व करो. दैट वुड बी मच बेटर अकॉर्डिंग टू मी.
एंड लाइक अभी जैसे मैंने बोला मैं
हम्म.
मतलब आंसर इतना जल्दी नहीं देखता मैं ट्राई करने की कोशिश करता हूँ मतलब
दैट्स गुड.
तभी
हम्म.
इम्प्रूवमेंट आएगा
हाँ, हाँ.
लेकिन ऐसे भी मतलब ट्यूटोरियल कब तक मतलब देख लेना चाहिए आई नो कि मतलब बिल्कुल अगर सोल्यूशन नहीं आ रहा तब तो देख लेता हूँ
हम्म.
लेकिन लाइक क्वेश्चन कभी कभी अप्रोचेबल होता है और
हम्म.
अप्रोच करता हूँ लेकिन फिर भी कुछ ना कुछ मिसिंग होता है ना हिंट
हम्म.
वगैरह तभी मतलब मैं मतलब तब कंफ्यूज होता हूँ कि ट्यूटोरियल देखना चाहिए या नहीं देखना चाहिए।
हाँ, तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन ओपन द ट्यूटोरियल एंड देन यू कैन जस्ट रीड इट लाइन बाय लाइन। ओके, सो तुम एक लाइन पढ़ो, इफ दैट इज समथिंग दैट यू हैड नॉट फिगर्ड आउट योरसेल्फ, देन जस्ट स्टॉप राइट देयर and now you have something new to work with. So then you think more about it. If you're still not able to understand, then read the second line. If that's again something that you have not thought about, then you just keep repeating the process. Okay, that is something that will help. And as far as time is concerned, so my advice would be to like give around at least 45 minutes to a problem before you even look at the tutorial. Until and unless like तुम्हें कोई starting point ही नहीं मिल रहा है, तुम like problem पढ़ा और तुम start भी नहीं कर पा रहे हो कुछ, अगर ऐसी situation है तो like half an hour is also enough. Okay, so like अगर कुछ भी नहीं समझ आ रहा है तो you can have a look at the tutorial after 30 minutes. Otherwise you should at least try a problem for 45 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, and like, should I, as a beginner, like, should I even solve code chef problems? Like,
Code Chef, I think like you can give contests, you can give Code Chef starters if at all they decide to start it again. बाकी practice के लिए Codeforces is enough.
okay, thank you.
Hello, I had a question regarding interviews.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, hi, Harisam. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, recently I had given the OAs of Amazon Dublin, etc., and I had
Okay.
solved all problems, and now I got a rejection mail. So,
Mm-hmm.
is it because of like the current hiring situation, or is it like always like that?
So basically, if you look at the problems asked in an Amazon OA, they are generally 1,000 rated Codeforces problems, maybe even less than that. Like my personal experience is that they ask prefix sums problem, like they just simply ask a problem to find like multiple arrays, multiple subarrays, and they'll just tell you what is the sum of all these subarrays, things like that. So you would agree that the problems asked in an Amazon OA are very, very easy. Okay,
Yeah, they are very easy.
they are easier than a lead code medium problem as well. So of course, like everyone who gives the OA will definitely be able to solve these problems. More like at least 90% of the people will solve all those problems. Okay, so that is where your luck comes into picture. Okay, so it happened with me a lot of times. It happens with everyone. If you solve all problems and the test is very, very easy, then it all boils down to the achievements in your resume, if at all the recruiters decide to look at it. Otherwise it's just pure luck. Sometimes luck is harsh for you. Okay, and एक रीज़न ये भी हो सकता है दैट योर रेज्यूमे इज़ नॉट अलाइंड विद द रोल, और अगर बहुत सारे लोग सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर देते हैं तो अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स वो लोग रेज्यूमे भी देखते हैं या फिर लक होता है, तो ये दो चीज़ें हो सकती हैं। और हाँ, अभी का सिनेरियो भी है ही, बट अगर उन्होंने ओए का लिंक भेजा है तो दैट मीन्स देर इज़ एन ओपनिंग। ओके, तो ओपनिंग तो है ही। बाकी आई थिंक द रीज़न इज़ दैट तुम्हारी रेज्यूमे अलाइन नहीं हुई है या फिर प्योर लक है।
Also, so solving fast doesn't like it doesn't benefit or in OAs or
It's again a very tricky thing. It's again a very tricky question. Like it depends a lot on the people who are in the hiring team. Okay, if I talk about the company in which I am working, then they also look at the time in which a person solved a problem. But it's not like that in all the companies. Like ये काफी recruiter dependent चीज़ है. Okay, so like the people who are on the hiring team, it depends on that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Also, like I had another question. Say I had applied for Google with a referral. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, what is the process they go through to consider my application? Because like I didn't even get an OA link and I got rejected.
Yeah, so the same happened with me last month as well. The process is the same. They just have a look at your resume. They have a look at whether or not you have a referral. And if like the role in which I applied for required at least 1 year of experience, but I did not have that. And I think the reason in for which I got rejected was the same. So yeah, resume is something that they will look. And if you have a referral and your resume is good enough, then you will get shortlisted for sure. At least for on-campus roles, I have seen that almost everyone who had a referral gets an OA link at least. Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, not on-campus, for fresher roles.
Off campus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
off-campus fresher roles. For fresher
okay.
roles, if you have a referral and your resume is not extremely bad, then you will get at least a test link.
Okay. That makes sense. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Rajat.
So, So, sir, I have been doing competitive programming for around a year,
Okay.
and I have reached the expert level, but I'm not able to go beyond that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
stuck somewhere around 1600,
Mm-hmm.
1650.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wanted to ask, like, what things should I learn, or what should I solve from here to
So,
improve?
for how much time have you been an expert, if I may ask?
2 3 months, sir.
Okay,
The
so
right rating has been fluctuating. I've fallen and
yeah, yeah,
gone back 2 3 times.
yeah. So that's normal. I think like if you're stuck on expert for more than 7 to 8 months, then that's the time that you should start worrying, because the transition from expert to candidate master is very, very slow, and it is definitely very, very hard. So if you're stuck for more than, let's say, 8 or 10 months, then that's the time that you should start worrying, because it takes a lot of time. It took me around 6 to 7 months as well. So yeah, you don't have to worry if you're not becoming a CM in 2 months after becoming an expert. And as far as what are the things that you should study is concerned, I don't really think that you should go for advanced topics as of now. If you know what a segment tree is, or if you can like just write a segment tree, if you have a pre-written template for a segment tree or a Fenwick tree, then I think that's more than enough. You don't really have to go beyond that. Okay, like if you know how to write basic 2D or 3D DP solutions, even recursive DP should work at this level. And I hope that, I mean, I will assume that you know how to write that. And if you know what a segment tree is, and even if you don't know the inner functioning of the segment tree, even if you have a black box template, that's fine. You should know what a sparse table is. Okay, you should know binary search on answer, and you should know basic number theory concepts as well. You should know how a sieve works, and of course you know that, I know. But yeah, these are the only things that are required to become a candidate master. I can guarantee you that, because if you can solve the first 4 problems fast enough, then you are guaranteed to become a candidate master. Okay, so yeah, you don't really have to learn any advanced topics. If you think that that is the case, then yeah, you don't really have to. Okay.
Okay, sir. And sir, for practice, random, like I was solving rating wise on Codeforces. So
Mm-hmm. Right. So
from
I
C to
think
ladder, I was.
right now you should be solving 1800 and 1900 level problems. So if you want to go from expert to specialist, then 1800 to 1900 should be the rating range that you should target. Okay. And the way you practice is totally up to you, but the level of the problems should be around 1800 to 1900. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So how did you manage development along with CP? So basically, I did not do much of development because I had asked this to my seniors, and they told me that it's not really necessary. I mean, this thing differs from college to college, but from my college's perspective, people don't really have a lot of development experience, and companies which come for hiring on campus, they also don't really care much about development unless the company is coordination. I have a really funny story in which I got rejected in the final round of coordination. So there was this very, very senior person, and he was asking me very high level system design problems. And it was very, very intense. So yeah, if you just keep aside coordination, then companies won't really ask you anything related to development and system design. So yeah, I didn't do much of that. I mean, I did a few courses and I had basic knowledge. I had basic projects, but I didn't give like 6 or 7 months or years to development. Okay, I gave 2 to 3 months to it during the time COVID started, and that was it for me. Okay. All right. So if I get logic of one problem, but implementation is either heavy or complex, in this case, should I discard my logic and look for new one? So this is a really interesting question. So uh, an unpopular opinion for me of mine in this problem is that yes, you should look for a new logic, given that the implementation that you have thought of is very, very messy and it involves a lot of cases. Because in my experience, the problems of Codeforces generally have a very, very elegant solution. Okay, like even if the problem is a constructive problem and it has a very few number of solves, even then whenever I read the editorial, my reaction is that, oh my god, this solution is so elegant, and it happens with me every single time. So I can assure you that the problems in Codeforces generally have very elegant solutions. So yeah, if you are thinking of something which is very complex and it involves a lot of case handling, or maybe your implementation exceeds 200 lines, then it is generally a good idea to think about an elegant approach. Okay. Cool. So I'm a full stack developer with 2.5 years of experience, have no interest in DSA or CP. Do big companies ask DSA or CP questions after 2 to 3 years of experience, or I need to start learning DSA ASAP? Okay, so it depends a lot. Okay, it depends a lot on your level of experience. If you are really experienced and you are really skilled in what you do, then you can avoid being asked DSA problems. Although I don't really take any guarantees of that, because I myself am someone who has less than 1 year of work experience. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as my knowledge is concerned, I'm only aware of Google. So Google asks DSA even at SD2 level, which is to people who have 2 or 3 years of experience. So yeah, and I think Microsoft also does that. But the thing is that their interviews for SD2 or 3 level positions, they are generally a mixture of DSA and system design and development and stuff like that. And also they take into account your past experience. Uh, in contrast to their entry level interviews, which are completely focused on DSA. So yeah, if you are really skilled in what you do, then I don't think there is a need for you to start learning DSA ASAP. So there will be a lot of companies which will be willing to hire you solely on the basis of your skills. Okay. But yeah, if you are looking for companies like Google, then some bit of DSA problems will definitely be asked. So if you are targeting that, then you should have at least basic knowledge of DSA. So you should be comfortable with solving at least lead code medium level problems. Okay. So I am a 2023 pass out and still unplaced, but I have decent knowledge of DSA. And so should I start CP or just do DSA and development? So I don't think that now is the time for you to be starting competitive programming. Okay. I mean, I'm not stopping you from giving Codeforces contests. So you should definitely give contests if you have a lot of time at your hand. But yeah, the situation right now is extremely bad. Okay. I have a lot of friends from colleges, even like IIT Delhi, who are still unplaced. And these are people who were in the computer science department of IIT Delhi. So yeah, the situation right now is not that good. So I can say that, okay, it's not necessary for you to start CP, because CP is something which requires a lot of patience. And it's something that you should do if you have at least 1.5 years in your hand before you appear for placements. But in your situation, I would say that you should stick with doing lead code for DSA. And yeah, you can go for development as well, because if you are good in development, then it opens the doors to a lot of opportunities, for example, remote work or working in startups and stuff like that. So yeah, you can definitely go for development, because there are tons of startups which are hiring people solely on the basis of that. Okay. Cool. So I don't really have much knowledge about GSOC, Rajiv, because I never really explored it. All I know is that the process is that you apply for GSOC on the basis of your resume and a cover letter, and then Google accepts you on Google either accepts you or rejects you on the basis of that, and then it assigns you some company or some project in which you work for a few months, and that's how the general cycle of GSOC is. But it is definitely something which is very prestigious. So you can definitely try out if development is something that interests you. But I'm really not the right person to ask this, because I don't have much experience since I never explored it. Okay. Okay, so the next question is how to prepare for questions asked on our projects and puzzles during interviews. Okay, so for puzzles, again, there is this website called Brainsteller. So you can check it out. It's called brainsteller.com. So BrainSteller comprises of all the problems that are asked as puzzles in an interview. So like all the puzzles that I was asked in my interviews were 100% from BrainSteller only. So it comprises of probability problems, puzzles problems, and maybe even strategy problems and things like that. And it also is a very compact website because the number of problems is limited. So if you just go ahead and solve all the problems on BrainSteller, then it should be good. And as far as project is concerned, then I think it depends a lot on what your project is. If it is a full stack project, then you should definitely have written the code yourself. It's not that it won't work with companies who go in depth, that you simply copied some GitHub repository, you simply forked the repository. These type of things generally don't work. I remember that I was really grilled in my coordination project round. So if someone is taking a round which is solely based on your project, then it won't work if you've simply forked some code from GitHub. So at least you should have written all the lines in your code. And if you've written the code yourself, then I think you should be able to answer every question that is asked to you. And also sometimes they ask that just tell me, why did you prefer this tech stack? Okay, why did you use this database? So you can prepare for questions like that as well. And if you've written the code yourself, then I think it should be good for you. Like you should be good to go. Okay.
Hi Harisam, I had a question.
Yeah. Hi.
So basically now like I am able to solve C sometime almost always, and
Okay.
sometimes if I am not able to solve one of B or C, then I am able to solve D, and
Mhm.
I get what is to be done to get to a higher rating. I am currently in my fifth sem,
Okay.
so I had two questions. First of all, around what rating range it will help me stand out and get beneficial,
Mhm.
and also like what's like matlab, how much like till what time like say 7 sem 8 sem I can do CP and it will be still beneficial, like after a point it becomes irrelevant, right? Say 1 2 years after graduation and stuff. So one is
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that once you've got an on-campus, so yeah, I think that once you've got an on-campus placement offer, then doing competitive programming is solely based on your interest. Okay, so that is the time that you can stop doing competitive programming if you need to focus on your job, because it's not really something that is very important at that stage, because you already have a job. So you can like do well in your job for 1.5 years, gain some valuable experience, and then you can make sure that when you apply for any company, the major part of what they ask you is related to your work experience. Okay, so once you have a stable placement offer, I think that's the time that you can stop doing competitive programming if you're not doing it out of interest. Okay, and as far as standing out is concerned, then I think that candidate master is something that will make you stand out. Okay, because the number of experts and specialists is increasing exponentially these days. So if you want to stand out, then you should be candidate master. It is something like being a candidate master will distinguish you from the rest of the lot, because most of the times an entire college has around at max 4 to 5 candidate masters. So yeah, if you want to stand out, then candidate master is something that you should target. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Also, like regarding off-campus only, so is it safe to say like I am interested in CP and I've been
Mhm.
doing for almost a year now.
Okay.
So, like say I pass out, before I pass out, like I pass out in 2025. So doing before that, it is still beneficial, right?
Yeah, of course. Like,
Yeah.
if you've not, if you right now don't have a stable placement offer, then I think doing competitive programming will boost your chances of getting a better offer. So yeah, before graduation, you should be doing competitive programming.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, I am a pupil on Codeforces. Usually I am able to solve diff to A and B every contest. I used to solve in Java and switch to C++. I haven't even done C++ STL thoroughly, just did what came up in the problems. My question is, which batch should I opt? I feel like I would learn things from batch 2, but I usually get stuck with DP, so I also want to learn that. Plus, I've solved some easy and medium lead code questions. So Yash, I am generally, I mean, I'm not really aware of how the senior batch system works. I am very new to this. I recently joined the server, so I'm not the right person to be asking this question. You can ask this question to Jaskaran. He will definitely be able to help you in a much better way. Okay. Cool. Also, one suggestion from my side to you, Yash, would be that you should at least complete C++ STL. Okay, you should be thorough with concepts like set, multiset, map, and stuff like that, because they are used in generally every contest. So if you're not familiar with STL, then that is hurting your chances of solving problems in every contest. So yeah, you should at least be familiar with STL completely. Okay. So is it a good strategy if I learn from harder problems more than 500 rating from mine, which I'm sure I'll not be able to solve by myself by reading and understanding the problem, then just jumping to editorial? I did this when I was a newbie. It helped me to get to specialist, but I am not sure about higher ratings. Well, I don't believe that this strategy should be something that you should be following. Okay. It might help you in the initial stages because you will just learn a lot of things if you just start reading editorials. But in the long run, it will, it will hamper your growth. That is for sure. It will hamper your own creative thinking, because I agree that a lot of times concepts are repeated in problems, but that is very, very rare these days. Okay. You can relate a problem with some problem that you solved in the previous contest, but it will definitely not be the exact same concept. Okay. You will have to apply your brain. You will have to be creative. Okay. And if you just in practice, you just start reading a problem, finish reading it, then you just jump to the editorial, then that creative part of your brain never really comes into action. And as you know, like the people who go to gym, if you don't lift higher weights, then you won't gain muscle, right? So it's the same with your brain. So if you don't exercise your brain, if you don't think a lot, then the brain would also stop thinking. Okay, while you are giving contests, because you don't really have access to the editorial in the contest. And if you want to solve a problem in the contest, then you have to think creatively, and that is something which gets hampered by this technique. So there is a lot of debate about whether or not you should do it, but this is just my opinion. So my opinion is that you should immediately stop doing this. And the best way to improve is to think a lot and then go to the editorial if you're not able to solve the problem. It is something which requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of discipline. But at the end of the day, if you want to improve, then that is something that you will have to do. Okay, cool. So how to be strong in DP? Can you tell some good resources? Okay, so there is a very fixed path if you want to be strong in DP. The first thing is that you should do CSES. So you should do the first 60 to 70% problems of the CSES problem set in the DP section. Okay. And then you can also do the AdCoder educational DP contest. Again, the first 50 to 60% problems, not beyond that. And once you are done with that, also, I'm assuming that you are done with the traditional DP problems like LIS or LCS and stuff like that, the edit distance problem, stuff like that. So after that, you can go to the Codeforces problem set and you can solve around 20 problems rated less than or equal to 1800. Okay. So these problems may be in the range from 1500 to 1800. And once you solve like 20 problems from Codeforces, and you can start with recursive DP, and you can just get very comfortable with recursive DP before switching to the iterative version. And so yeah, once you're done with 20 problems, you will definitely be much more comfortable in DP. Okay, that's my standard answer to anyone who asks me how to get good at DP. Okay. Okay, so my lead code rating is 1581 and I have started CF recently. I'm currently in my third year. So should I focus on CP or practice DSA on lead code and development? Okay, so if I'm aiming for product-based companies and also I am from a tier 3 college. So if you're in your third year, then I think that this is not the time that you should quit CP. This is the right time for you. You can go for CP right now because your third year must have just started. So you can at least give the next 4 to 5 months to CP. Okay, because right now you don't have the sufficient experience to solve problems of online assessments and even interviews. So my suggestion to you would be to go for CP right now, and you can just go to lead code 2 to 3 months before the D day. Okay, before the time when you have to actually start giving tests and appear for interviews. Okay, so that is 3 to 4 months before your on-campus placements begin. That is the time that you should stop practicing CP. I'm not saying that you should stop giving contests. You should never stop giving contests, obviously. So yeah, that's the time that you should stop practicing competitive programming. That's the time that you can switch to DSA and even development. Okay. So yeah, as far as development is concerned, I think that you can do development and CP parallelly as of now. Since you are from a tier 3 college, you shouldn't really depend on your on-campus placements 100%. So doing development alongside is a good practice, because again, it opens a lot of opportunities of working at various startups. And startups don't really care which college you are from. Most of the startups, they are mostly interested in how good your skills are. So generally, their hiring process involves just giving you an assignment, which is generally a development-based assignment. And if you are skilled enough in that, then they will just give you an interview call on the basis of your assignment submission. Okay. So yeah, right now you can stick with CP and you can do development parallelly. And 2-3 months before your placements begin, that is when you should switch to lead code. Okay. Oh, so the website is brainstellar.com. I think I messaged it. Yeah. Okay, so future plan of your YouTube channel. Okay, so this is again a very interesting question. I wish I could answer it perfectly, but the thing is that I will be like continuing with all these contest solution videos, of course, because this is something that the people benefit a lot from. So I will at least try to post solution videos of the contest in which I participate. Okay. And I'm also planning to bring around a lot of other educational content as well. So there is this Algo Talk series which is going on. So the series is currently on a break because I had to go for a minor medical procedure, but now I am healthy and I'm back again. So I'll be resuming the episodes of Algo Talks very soon. So if you want to attend Algo Talks live, then you can also join my own Discord server. So I share the link to all those episodes there, wherein you can join. And then I also post those episodes on YouTube itself. So if you don't want to join live, then that's fine as well. And yeah, so that's one thing. And the other thing is that there are some plans which I don't think should be good to share right now. So I won't be sharing a lot right now. So, but I can say that you guys should stay tuned because a lot of things are coming up. So something that I can tell is that I will be sharing a lot of tricks and tips related to competitive programming. So I will be sharing some techniques which I discovered myself and techniques which I have simplified over my 3-year competitive programming journey, things like that. So a lot of educational content is definitely going to be out. So yeah, you guys can stay tuned for that. Okay. Cool. All right. So some tips for on-campus placement. Yeah. Hey. Hello. Okay, so some tips for on-campus placement season. So the most important tip is that just like engrave this thing in your mind that the most important thing during on-campus placements is luck. Okay, so like it depends on 60% your luck and 40% on your preparation. Okay, and another important tip is that for people who have a lot of time, for people who are in their first or second years, CGPA does matter. Okay, in on-campus placements, CGPA does matter. Or if you don't have a good CGPA, then one thing that will definitely help you is that you should be skilled in at least one thing, and you should be skilled enough to make yourself stand out. So that one thing may be that you have a 9.5 plus CGPA. That one thing may be that you are a candidate master on Codeforces. That one thing may be that you are a GSoccer. But if you want a good on-campus placement, then you should be skilled in something that can like differentiate you from the rest of the lot. Okay. So yeah, these are two important tips for on-campus placements.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What type of like projects do these quant guys have in their resume?
So most of the times the projects involve, research projects with professors. So in IITs, there is this culture of doing research projects in the guidance of professors, and almost everyone does that to write in their resumes as well. So yeah, these are the kinds of projects. So there may be some machine learning based projects, or maybe some core electrical based projects, but most of the times these are the projects which people do under some professors, and they are proper research projects. Sometimes they even involve publishing of research papers and stuff like that. But yeah, these are the projects that the quant companies value. If you have published some research papers, some mathematical research papers, then that's something that they will definitely value.
And like how much quantitative role is different from this quant dev role?
So it's completely different. Okay, so quantitative researcher is someone who creates strategies, and quantitative developer is someone who implements those strategies. Okay, so this quantitative researcher role is completely based on mathematics. So you are doing mathematical research on day-to-day basis, and in a quantitative developer role, you are essentially implementing the strategies which are given to you by a quant researcher, and you are testing that strategy on live data or previous year's data, stuff like that. So yeah, this is how both of these roles are different.
Sir, a question about quant only, like what should a person prepare if like I want to get a on campus, off campus job at a quant? Like I'm currently in my third
Okay.
year. So.
So I would say that it is definitely very, very hard for you to get placed in an HFT company just out of college. So I'm not saying that these HFT firms don't hire freshers or don't hire people who are not from IITs. But the thing is that they will hire people who are from other colleges, but they generally do that to people who have a work experience. Okay, but if it's not completely impossible as well, and the easiest way, or the way that will impact the most, is if you become very, very high rated on Codeforces. Okay, so by very, very high rated, what I mean is international master or grandmaster. So if you are someone who is that famous, who is a grandmaster on Codeforces, then word spreads really quickly, and you will be surprised to know that these companies have people who are dedicated to looking for such talent, such people who are exceptional, who are doing really, really well. So yeah, a very, very safe path for you would be to just become a grandmaster on Codeforces, and yeah, so that's how you can do it. Otherwise, the other way is to just have some work experience, have some good skills, and then your resume can stand out, because they definitely hire people who are not from IITs but have good work experience. So yeah.
भैया मैंने अभी तक 100 प्रॉब्लम कर लिए ड्यू टू बी के, पर अभी भी ड्यू टू बी में स्ट्रगल कर रहा हूँ.
Mm-hmm.
लाइक अगर कोई कंस्ट्रक्टिव आता है तो 800 का कंस्ट्रक्टिव थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग लगता है, देन 1200 मैथ्स या 1200 ग्रेड ऐसा कुछ.
ठीक है, तो लाइक आई थिंक दैट व्हाट यू ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट कभी कभी बी नहीं होता है, डिफ टू बी नहीं होता है, एंड दैट्स टोटली ओके, बिकॉज you will never get so comfortable with solving a problem that you are able to solve it 100% of the times. Okay, so it might happen that out of 5 contests you are not able to solve diff to b once, and that is okay. I think if you solved 100 problems, then that is more than enough. There is no need to solve more diff to b's. Now you can switch to diff to c's, because you should never think that you are targeting perfection in solving some level of problems, because the difficulties are also subjective. Something which is easy for the rest of the lot can be hard for you, something which is hard for the rest of the lot can be easy for you. So what I'm trying to say is that you can switch to solving diff to c's now if you solved 100 problems. No issues about that. You shouldn't really worry a lot about not being able to solve once in a while, because that's completely fine. Okay.
भैया
Yeah.
कोई मैथमेटिक्स की बुक बताओ ना, जो मतलब जैसे क्वेश्चंस करते हैं हम लोग कोड फोर्सेस वगैरह में, बाकी के कोई भी, तो मतलब ये सब उसके लॉजिक्स भी इम्प्रूव होने चालू हो जाएंगे और मैथमेटिकल वाला दिमाग भी इम्प्रूव हो जाए.
अच्छा, सो पर्सनली मैंने तो ऐसी किसी बुक से प्रैक्टिस करी नहीं है, बट द थिंग इज कि मैथ्स में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक जो होता है वो होता है कॉम्बिनेटोरिक्स. ठीक है, कोड फोर्सेस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. ठीक है, तो अगर तुम्हारी कॉम्बिनेटोरियल स्किल्स स्ट्रांग है तो ओवरऑल तुम्हारा जो ब्रेन है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा शार्प हो जाता है. So a book that I will recommend for that is like it's called Cengage. Okay, so it's Algebra by Cengage. Sorry, Combinatorics by Cengage. So you can just do that. Basically, I did that book in my JEE preparation.
जेई वाली बात है वो.
हाँ, तो वो JEE
हाँ.
वाली book है, but like it's not that it will only be relevant for JEE. I strongly believe that solving all the problems of the combinatorics section from Cengage has made me a much better combinatorial problem solver. तो वो बुक काफ़ी काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़िया है अगर तुम्हें कोड फोर्सेस पे भी कॉम्बिनेटोरिक्स के जो प्रॉब्लम्स है ना उनमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल होना है. तो आई वुड से कि मेरी आई वुड से दैट पर्सनली मेरा कॉम्बिनेटोरिक्स काफ़ी स्ट्रांग है एंड द क्रेडिट गोज टू सॉल्विंग ऑल द प्रॉब्लम्स फ्रॉम सिंगेज. तो इफ़ यू वांट देन यू कैन try that out. Otherwise, I haven't read a lot of books as far as maths is concerned. So my mathematical base was formed only during my JEE days. So that's what I can, recommend.
ओके भैया, क्योंकि मैं भी मैथमेटिकल बैकग्राउंड से हूँ, उससे पूछा.
Sure.
और भैया ये कंपनीज ये लोग ज्यादा हाईरेटेड कोडर्स को क्यों देखते हैं? मतलब मैंने देखा आजकल ये लिंक्डइन पे भी गूगल वगैरह ये लोग इनको मैसेजेस डालते रहते लिंक्डइन पे, इंटरव्यू दे दो, आ जाओ.
Mm-hmm. So like that is one thing on the basis of which the companies differentiate, like right. So like if someone is very high rated on code forces, then why will they not hire them, right? So like interview में भी वो क्या पूछते हैं? They ask data structures and algorithms. So if someone is high rated on code forces, then they already know that this person is a good problem solver. This person will definitely be a good fit for them, right? तो अगर उन्हें बहुत सारे options हैं और उन्हें किसी को hire करना ही है तो they will definitely go for people who are high rated, right? I hope that makes sense.
उसका कोई एलएलडी एचएलडी में डिफरेंस गिरता है क्या? मतलब एडवांटेज, मतलब इफ अ पर्सन इज गुड इन कोडिंग मींस ही कैन बी गुड इन एलएलडी एंड एचएलडीज.
Yeah, this is the general perception. I don't know how true is that, but the thing is कि companies जो हैं they are not looking for someone who already knows everything. Okay, they are looking for someone who can learn things faster and who can implement things faster. Okay, so like उनको ये नहीं चाहिए, उनको ऐसा बंदा नहीं चाहिए जिनको पहले से सब कुछ आता हो. उनको कोई ऐसा बंदा चाहिए जो कि जल्दी से सीख सके और जिसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स अच्छी हो. ठीक है, तो उसके बेसिस पे उन्होंने एक डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर बना लिया है, ये रेटिंग या फिर जो भी तुम्हारी रैंकिंग है एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. ओके.
और ये इंटरव्यूज में अच्छे अच्छे कंपनीज के फैंग वगैरह में तो कितने रेटिंग्स तक क्वेश्चंस रहते हैं? मतलब एक जनरल इंटरव्यूज में, ना कि टेस्ट में.
यार इंटरव्यू में आई डोंट थिंक यू विल एवर बी आस्क्ड अ प्रॉब्लम मोर देन 1600 और एट मैक्स 1700 रेटेड. ठीक है, तो 1700 भी मैंने थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही बोल दिया. 1600 कैन बी अ हार्ड डेडलाइन, उससे ज़्यादा हार्ड नहीं पूछते.
अच्छा, मैक्स वो ही रहेगा.
1600 विल बी द मैक्सिमम. जो टेस्ट होते हैं उनमें प्रॉब्लम्स का लेवल थोड़ा ज़्यादा होता है, बट इंटरव्यूज़ में 1600 से ज़्यादा नहीं होता.
ओके.
या Yeah, my advice for you, Yash, would be to at least just pick one skill and just be very, very good in that skill. This is something that I've been repeating a lot in this session. So that skill can be competitive programming, that skill can be development. But if you want to stand out among a lot of people, then the only way to do that should be to pick a skill and become so good at it that you become the talk of the town. Okay, so it should be something like if there are a lot of people discussing on, let's say, competitive programming, then as soon as you pass by alongside them, then they just start saying, okay, इससे पूछ लेते हैं, इसको तो आता ही होगा, ये कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामर है, सबसे बेस्ट है कॉलेज का. So that's what your mindset should be. Okay, so you should try to just pick one skill and become the best in it, and that's how you can stand out. Okay, so I'm currently in my
भैया जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं ड्यू टू ए ड्यू टू बी इवन ड्यू टू सी, मेजोरिटी ड्यू टू ए ड्यू टू बी, उनमें कितना टाइम देना चाहिए अगर हमें आना आता नहीं है तो? मैंने एक ब्लॉग दिखा था, वहां पर 30 मिनट बोला था किसी रेड कोडर ने, तो जनरली 1 आवर बोलते हैं कुछ लोग, और
Yeah,
ऐसा
for
होता नहीं है कि मैं एक और ही सॉल्व कर दूं.
अच्छा, so are you talking about while you are giving a contest or while practicing?
Practicing.
Acha. So practice mein yaar, if you're solving diff to A, then I think 30 minutes is fine. Because if you are not able to solve a diff to A in 30 minutes, then it's generally due to something that is missing out from your knowledge. Okay, it's not that you are missing out on a solution. It's probably something which is new to you. So the solution involves something which you don't even know. So it's pointless to spend another half hour on it. So for diff to A and B, I would say that half an hour, let's say at max 45 minutes is enough. Like if you think that you are getting close to the solution, then you can spend 1 hour. But agar koi bhi idea nahi lag raha hai, then 30 to 45 minutes is good enough. Okay.
Thanks.
So I'm currently in third sem. Now I had no knowledge of CP previously. So now I think I'll be starting from scratch. So is it sufficient time to become something that I want to achieve? Yeah, man, you are in your third semester. Even I started doing competitive programming in my third semester. So if you're in your third semester, then you have a lot of time at your hand. So you can definitely start competitive programming, and you have a lot of time. You have that luxury with yourself. So yeah, it's the perfect time to start. What systematic approach do you follow to solve diff 2 problem D, or about upsolving? Yeah, so the thing is ki, when I'm upsolving a problem which is really hard, so diff 2 D I would not classify it as a really hard problem for me. I'll talk about how I solve diff 2 E. Okay, so currently when I'm upsolving the problem, it's generally a diff 2 E problem, and the way I look at it is that I'm not in a rush to solve the problem. Okay, I mean, when I'm in a contest, I'm definitely in a rush, but when I'm upsolving the problem, I just convince myself that there is no rush. I can start by making very, very minute observations, something which is evident to someone who will just read the problem. I make those observations, I write those observations down, and then I try to build upon over and above those observations. And I give myself a lot of time. I keep thinking. I try to relate the problem with all the previous problems that I have tried, and I try to just I try to build some kind of a graph inside my mind that these are the concepts that I know, and these are the concepts that I think might be applicable in this problem. And in that graph, I slowly try to just narrow it down to I just try to narrow down all the concepts that are present, and slowly I just I finish at some very small subset of concepts, and then I am almost pretty sure that these are the concepts that will be used, and then I try to apply those concepts, and if I'm able to solve the problem, then it's well and good. And otherwise, if I'm not able to solve the problem in 1.5 hours, then that's the time that I generally have a look at the first few lines of the editorial, and that's how it goes for me. Okay, so this technique of making a graph inside your mind is also very, very famous on Codeforces these days. So there is a blog by Nor. Nor is also my senior. You guys must be knowing him. He's also a top-rated contributor on Codeforces. So you can check out his blog on learning. So it's also a very, very good blog. So yeah. All right. So let's just take one or two more questions if people
भैया
have. Yeah.
रिकर्शन में ऐसे कौन से पैटर्न्स है जिसके ऊपर बाकी के सारे मतलब पैटर्न्स डिपेंड करते हैं कि ये पैटर्न्स आपको आएंगे? तो जैसे डीपी में रहते हैं 8-10 पैटर्न्स है, उससे आप 80 क्वेश्चन बना लेते हो। वैसे ही मतलब अलग अलग बाइनरी सर्च में भी कुछ पैटर्न्स होते हैं, तो ऐसे रिकर्शन सीखते हैं हम लोग वो टाइम पे, जैसे सबसीक्वेंस वगैरह सीखा है, थोड़ा मतलब सुना है। हाँ, तो ऐसे कौन कौन से पैटर्न सीखे अगर आप मतलब हमने वो चीज कर ली तो बाकी के उससे रिलेटेड ही आते हैं, मतलब
Okay.
बड़े क्वेश्चंस अच्छे वाले।
ठीक है. So first of all, yeah, I don't really believe in this word pattern. Okay, so everything should be like new to you. Okay, you shouldn't just remember patterns, and you shouldn't expect that every problem follows a pattern. But nevertheless, for recursion, I think that there are two very important things. One is that you should know how to generate all the permutations of any given set of numbers. And second is that you should know how to generate all the subsets from a set of numbers. If you know these two things, and you can just close your eyes and implement these two things, then I think you can solve any recursion based problem. Okay, every recursion based problem boils down to either generating subsets or generating permutations. Or if you are able to solve the n queens problem, then that's a combination of both of them. Then I think that you are very, very thorough with recursion. Okay, so yeah, two important patterns are generating all permutations and generating, all the subsets.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Harisam, just one more question I
Yeah,
have.
sure.
So one who is starting CP, right? Should he prefer the rating-wise solving approach that he sets a particular rating and then starts solving those problems, or should he also focus on learning concepts along with it that come while he absorbs a problem, or should he parallelly learn new concepts along with it?
So I myself am a believer of the second approach. Okay. So I definitely preach that approach. So if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out, then given that you have sufficient time with yourself, then you should just start random problem solving based on the ratings. And then you can learn new concepts as and when they encounter. Okay. So if you're not getting any idea about a problem, then it should occur to you that maybe this problem involves something that I'm not familiar with. And then you can read the editorial and then you can learn the concepts. Maybe you can, if the concept is not well explained in the editorial, then you can just search for that concept on the internet, and that is how you can learn new concepts. So yeah, my advice would be to go for the second approach, given that you have sufficient time. You start solving random problems based on rating, and then you can learn new concepts as and when they appear in the problems. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think we have taken a lot of questions for the day. So this might be the time to end this session. Cool. So there are no more questions as well. So yeah, that would be it for me for today. Thank you so much everyone for joining. I hope I can take another session at Senior super soon. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, and bye bye. Thanks a lot.